Do you have a Roosevelt dime in your pocket? What if I told you it could be worth far more than 10 cents, possibly even hundreds or thousands of dollars? Welcome to our channel, where we uncover the hidden value behind everyday coins and explore the fascinating stories they carry. Let us begin with top 1. The year was 1967. The world was deep into the Cold War, American culture was being transformed by the Civil Rights Movement and the Summer of Love, and the US was still recovering from the ripples of the coin shortage crisis that had begun a few years prior. Amid all this national change, a seemingly modest 10-cent piece rolled out of the US Mint, the 1967 Roosevelt dime, a coin that, at first glance, would appear ordinary. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find that this humble dime, with no mint mark and clad in nickel and copper, carries a history richer than most would expect. To understand the significance of this coin, we need to rewind to 1965. Just 2 years prior, the United States Mint made a major decision that sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting world. Due to an unprecedented coin shortage, the Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all circulating coins. Their reasoning was tactical: too many people were hoarding coins with rare mint marks, hoping they would become more valuable in time. The government wanted coins to circulate, not be stashed away by collectors. So, from 1965 to 1967, mint marks were completely omitted: no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, not even the familiar P for Philadelphia. That meant every coin looked the same on the surface, no matter where it was minted. The 1967 dime, then, is unique simply because of when it was made. With over 2.2 billion of them struck, most people wouldn't even bat an eye at one today. But therein lies the twist: this abundance masked a few extraordinary anomalies that now make select specimens staggeringly valuable. At the center of it all is the Roosevelt dime's design. Created by John R. Sinek, the obverse features a dignified left-facing portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt's image was chosen not only for his presidential legacy but for his leadership in founding the March of Dimes, an organization to fight polio. The irony that Roosevelt himself had suffered from the disease made his likeness on the dime deeply symbolic. Around his portrait are the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 1967, simple, yet striking in its elegance. Flip the coin, and you're met with three powerful symbols: a torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch to the left and an oak branch to the right. Liberty, peace, and strength. This trifecta serves as a kind of visual creed for the American spirit, especially poignant during the turbulent 60s. The details, though small, were meticulously struck, especially on uncirculated or special mint set examples. What makes the 1967 dime even more fascinating isn't just the design or the lack of a mint mark. It's the tiny errors, variations, and special sets that have elevated some examples from common to legendary. While the average 1967 dime might still be found in your change jar, a few rare versions defy all odds. Consider the dimes that never received their outer clad layer. These error coins reveal a copper-colored core, giving the coin an unmistakably red appearance. Finding one of these errors in decent condition can fetch you well over $100. Then there are dimes that were misstruck, off-center, double-struck, or clipped. Each of these minting mishaps transforms the coin from mundane to rare, with values ranging from $30 to over $200, depending on severity and condition. But the real treasure lies in the special mint set, often abbreviated as SMS. In 1967, the US Mint didn't issue traditional proof sets, but instead released SMS coins exclusively for collectors. These coins featured a unique, satiny finish, somewhere between a proof and a regular strike, and were handled with extra care during the minting process. Only about 1.86 million special mint set dimes were produced, and even fewer remain in pristine condition today. One such example, graded SP69, a near-perfect grade on the numismatic scale, recently sold for a jaw-dropping $136,000. Think about that: a coin worth just 10 cents at face value, once exchanged for bubblegum or bus fare, now commanding a price higher than many luxury vehicles. This isn't just about metal and minting, it's about preservation, rarity, history, and a little bit of magic. So, why would someone pay that much? It's not just the grade. It's the combination of factors: a coin from a pivotal era, minted during a historic suspension of mint marks, preserved in nearly flawless condition, and recognized as one of the finest examples in existence. For collectors, that trifecta, scarcity, condition, and context, can transform any coin into a national treasure. Even today, enthusiasts and casual hobbyists alike scour their change and inspect old coin jars, hoping to stumble upon one of these hidden gems. And while most won't find a six-figure dime in their pocket, the thrill of the hunt is part of the appeal. Every 1967 dime carries a slice of history, and who knows, yours might just be the next one to make headlines. Next in our journey through the fascinating world of rare American dimes, we find ourselves stepping into the bold and booming era of the 1980s. It was a time of cassette tapes, economic resurgence, and cultural reinvention. Yet, tucked within the folds of everyday life, in places as ordinary as a grocery store cash register or a laundromat coin slot, a small silver coin passed quietly from hand to hand, unnoticed, uncelebrated. That coin was the 1985 Roosevelt dime, struck at the Denver Mint. On the surface, there was nothing particularly remarkable about it. It was just another dime, one of hundreds of millions, doing its job without fanfare, but as you'll see, sometimes it's the things that seem the most ordinary that end up holding the most extraordinary secrets. Stick with me, because this tiny 10-cent piece, overlooked by nearly everyone at the time, has a story that may just surprise you, and a value that could turn heads in any collector's circle today. In 1985, the United States Mint continued its long-standing tradition of honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the 10-cent coin, a tribute that began in 1946. His image, carved into the obverse, appears dignified and calm, facing left as if contemplating the future of the nation he once led through both economic despair and global war. Below his chin is a simple phrase, "In God we trust." To his left, the word "Liberty." Above the neckline, the small but essential D mint mark denotes its birthplace, Denver. And, of course, the date, 1985. Another year. Another dime. Or so it seemed. The reverse side echoes strength and principle. The central torch, bright, burning, unwavering, is surrounded by the olive and oak branches, symbols of peace and strength. It's a design that's become second nature to most Americans. You've likely seen it more times than you can count, handed over for a coffee refill or dropped into a tip jar. But what if one of those familiar dimes wasn't like the rest? That's where this story begins to shift. The Denver Mint, known for its high output, produced well over 500 million dimes in 1985. That sheer number would lead most to assume that no single coin could ever be rare, let alone valuable. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about how few were made, it's about how few were made like this. Within that sea of circulation coins, a few emerged with differences so subtle that only trained eyes would catch them. Slight doubling in the inscriptions. Misaligned dies that left Roosevelt's portrait ghosted or skewed. Planchets missing their outer nickel layer, revealing a pure copper core underneath, an accident in materials that turned a small mistake into a high-value prize. And then, there are the off-center strikes, coins not fully aligned when stamped, leaving part of the image slightly cut off or lopsided. These errors weren't intentional. They were never meant to be noticed. But once discovered, they became treasures. Even more intriguing are the untouched specimens, coins that escaped circulation entirely. Some were set aside by collectors the year they were released. Others were simply forgotten in rolls or tucked away in drawers. And then, decades later, they were rediscovered and examined under light and magnification. The detail, the finish, the flawless surfaces, they stood out in a sea of wear and tear. These dimes, spared the grind of everyday use, were like time capsules, coins that never got the chance to be spent. Imagine holding one of those pieces in your hand. It's light, familiar. But then you look closer. The strike is crisp. The details on Roosevelt's face are razor-sharp. The lettering is pristine. No scratches. No nicks. Nothing to suggest it ever touched a pocket or purse. And then, maybe you notice something else, a small deviation, a doubling of the letters, a shift in the image. Something no one else noticed before, that's when you realize, this is no ordinary coin. Now, most 1985 D Roosevelt dimes remain common and hold only sentimental or historical value. But among them, rare, exceptional examples exist. Ones preserved in perfect condition, coupled with striking anomalies or unique flaws that elevate their status into something far greater than change, and one such coin did just that. Preserved in immaculate condition, featuring an unusual die variation, and certified by experts as virtually flawless, it stunned the collecting community when it went to auction. What followed was disbelief, fascination, and finally, awe, as the hammer dropped and the final bid came in. That single, stunning 1985 D dimes sold for an incredible $123,000. Yes, a 10-cent coin, something millions of people have used without a second thought, transformed into a six-figure collectible. Not because it was made of gold. Not because it carried any ceremonial significance. But because it was rare, perfect, and hiding in plain sight. That's the thrill of numismatics. It's about searching through what seems familiar and uncovering what's exceptional. A coin like the 1985 D dime reminds us that sometimes the greatest stories are the ones right in front of us, unnoticed, until someone finally looks a little closer. So the next time you come across a handful of coins, don't be so quick to dismiss them. One of them might carry history, mystery, and maybe even a small fortune. All it takes is one extraordinary coin to change everything. Top 3 in this incredible journey through rare and valuable dimes takes us to the early 1990s, a decade of fresh innovation, bold transitions, and a quiet evolution in American coinage. We're focusing now on a coin most people wouldn't glance at twice. The 1993 Roosevelt dime, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and marked with a small P just above the date. At face value, it's 10 cents, light in weight, common in circulation, passed between countless hands. But within that seemingly ordinary surface lies a story of chance, rarity, and one perfect specimen that turned out to be worth far more than anyone ever imagined. Stick with me. Because this isn't just another dime. This is a piece of overlooked history, one that, under the right circumstances, has fetched a stunning six-figure sum. By 1993, the Roosevelt dime had already been a staple of American currency for nearly half a century. First introduced in 1946, the design honored President Franklin D. Roosevelt, not only for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, but also for his role in founding the March of Dimes. That very connection to the dime gave the coin a sense of purpose, even nobility, from the moment it first entered circulation. Fast forward to the early 90s, and the United States Mint had long since mastered the technical process of striking these coins. In Philadelphia alone, more than 1 billion dimes were produced that year. Efficiency, precision, and uniformity were the goals, but even within such tight control, something unusual can slip through. And when it does, it changes everything. At first glance, the 1993 P. Roosevelt dime doesn't stand out. The obverse features the same left-facing profile of Roosevelt, a look of quiet determination etched into his expression. The inscriptions around him are familiar: Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1993. Above the date sits the mint mark, P for Philadelphia. Turn the coin over and you'll see the classic torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. This design hadn't changed for decades. It didn't need to. It was iconic. But the value of this coin has never been about redesign or experimentation, it's about perfection in imperfection. When billions of coins are made, the few that defy the norm, either through error or flawless condition, stand out like stars in a dark sky. What makes the 1993 P dime so fascinating is that it's a modern coin. It's recent enough to still be in circulation, but far enough back to have accumulated history. And among all those coins minted in Philadelphia, a small number have surfaced showing signs of unique minting anomalies: double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned planchets, and even weak or missing elements. These kinds of subtle deviations are exactly what set collectors' hearts racing, but beyond errors, there's something even rarer: perfection. Every now and then, a coin leaves the mint in a flawless state. No blemishes. No scratches. A strike so clean, the details leap from the metal. Roosevelt's hair, the spacing between letters, the fire in the torch, all rendered with razor clarity. These are the coins that get noticed by grading agencies and serious collectors. They're pulled from circulation, sealed in hard plastic cases, and assigned a grade. And when that grade is the highest possible, something like MS-70 or an equally elite classification, that's when the true magic begins, because rarity isn't just about how few were made, it's about how few survived in perfect form. One such dime did exactly that. From the moment it was minted in 1993, it seems fate had other plans for it. Never circulated. Never tossed in a tray or scraped against another coin. It remained untouched, locked away, and years later, it would be the subject of intense scrutiny and eventually, admiration. Under expert eyes and magnification, it was declared nearly flawless. And its subtle uniqueness, perhaps a gentle doubling in the legend, a perfect strike on both sides, or an unusually high luster, put it in a class of its own. When this coin went to auction, it sparked a storm of interest. Bidders from around the world recognized that they weren't just chasing a coin, they were chasing a one-of-a-kind specimen, the type that might not appear again for years or decades, if ever. The bidding was fast, competitive, passionate, and when it ended, this 1993 P. Roosevelt dime sold for an astonishing $107,000. Yes. $107,000 for a coin most people would overlook. A 10-cent piece turned into a fortune, not by magic, not by luck, but by a rare convergence of quality, timing, and awareness. That's the incredible thing about coin collecting. You're not just dealing in metal, you're dealing in history, scarcity, and the thrill of discovery. The 1993 P dime reminds us that value doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers from the bottom of a coin jar or hides in an untouched roll stored for decades. So the next time you find yourself with spare change, take a moment. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the strike. You never know when you might be holding something extraordinary. Because even the most ordinary-looking coin has the potential to rewrite its own story. Top 4, imagine, if you will, a small, shiny object. A tiny coin, no bigger than the size of a standard button you might find on your favorite jacket. At first glance, it looks like any other dime you might have in your pocket. But, as you'll soon learn, this coin has a story to tell, a story that takes us back in time, weaves through American history, and eventually leads us to an incredible discovery. This is the tale of the 2004 USA 1 dime P coin. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this dime so special? It's not one of those rare gold coins that collectors dream of. No, this one is silver, just like the others in its class. But wait, this particular coin has a fascinating backstory that makes it worth its weight in, well, more than just metal. You see, sometimes it's not about the size or the material of the coin but about the history behind it, the errors that might have occurred during its creation, or the subtle, hidden features that make it stand out. To begin our journey, we need to set the stage in the early 2000s, a time of immense change in America. George W. Bush had just entered his second term as president. The country was still recovering from the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. The economy was slowly bouncing back, and technology was rapidly evolving. The internet was beginning to truly take hold in everyday life. All around the world, the United States was navigating a turbulent yet transformative period, and it was in this climate that the 2004 United States Mint produced the 2004 dime, a coin that would soon become much more than just a symbol of 10 cents. But first, we must understand the legacy of the dime itself. The very first dime, the seated Liberty dime, was minted in 1796, and over the years, the design would change numerous times. The most famous iteration, however, would have to be the design featuring Franklin D. Roosevelt, which has graced the coin since 1946. The Roosevelt dime was born out of respect for the late president, who was instrumental in leading the United States through the Great Depression and World War II. In fact, it was his death in 1945 that inspired the nation to honor him with a coin bearing his likeness. The design was meant to be a lasting tribute to his legacy. The choice of the dime as the coin to carry his image was symbolic. The dime was often considered a small coin, just as Roosevelt was a man of the people, and it was a coin that most Americans could easily use on a daily basis. Fast forward to 2004, and we find ourselves in a new era. The U.S. Mint had been busy, continuing to produce dimes that featured Roosevelt's profile. But that year, something unusual happened. A minting error occurred, something that happens more often than you might think, but when it happens with a coin like this, it can send shockwaves through the numismatic community. It all started with a slight misalignment in the minting process. During the creation of the 2004 dimes, a small batch of coins was struck with a subtle mistake. You might not notice it at first. In fact, most people wouldn't. But if you know what to look for, you'll find that certain 2004 dimes have a very unique characteristic, one that makes them extraordinarily valuable. These errors are often referred to as mule coins. A mule coin is one that has a combination of mismatched dies, meaning the obverse, front, and reverse, back, sides of the coin were struck using different dies that were not meant to be used together. This creates a coin that's not supposed to exist, a coin that, by nature, is rare and highly collectible. When these coins are discovered, they can fetch incredible amounts at auction. What makes the 2004 P dime so special is that it was struck with an error on the reverse side, the side that normally features a torch, olive branch, and oak branch symbolizing unity, peace, and strength. The mistake came in the form of a slight misalignment of the die, and while the difference was very small, it was enough to make this coin stand out in a significant way. Now, you might be wondering, why is this such a big deal? After all, it's just a tiny discrepancy, right? Well, in the world of numismatics, coin collecting, the tiniest details can make all the difference. Collectors are always on the lookout for those rare, elusive coins that didn't quite make it through the production process the way they were intended. And when such a coin surfaces, especially one that has remained hidden for so long, the demand for it grows exponentially. It wasn't until a few eagle-eyed collectors began inspecting their 2004 dimes more closely that the error was discovered. Word spread quickly, and soon, others were hunting for the same dime, hoping to find the fabled 2004 P with the error on the reverse side. As more and more were found, the rarity of this particular error became apparent, and so did its value, but it wasn't just the error that made the 2004 P dime special. In fact, it wasn't even the first dime error to be discovered in the history of the coin. What set this one apart was its extraordinary quality, and the fact that so few of them had survived. Many of these dimes were accidentally destroyed or overlooked. Only a small number made it into circulation, where they were subsequently hoarded, forgotten, or simply not recognized for their true worth. It's a reminder that sometimes, in the world of coin collecting, the most extraordinary discoveries come from the most unexpected places. A simple dime, once just a small token of daily life, can be transformed into a valuable treasure with the right combination of history, error, and rarity. And for those lucky enough to find one of these elusive 2004 P dimes with the minting error, they're holding a piece of American numismatic history, a piece that could fetch thousands of dollars. Top 5 and last valuable 1-dime coin of our today's video. If you're a coin collector, you know that not all dimes are created equal. Some are just simple change you spend without a second thought, while others can be worth far more than their face value. Today, we're focusing on one of the most valuable dimes in recent history, the 2015 USA 1-dime P coin. At first glance, the 2015 P Roosevelt dime might look just like any other coin you've handled. It's small, silver-colored, and carries the familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, just like every dime has since 1946. But there's more to this particular dime than meets the eye. While it's easy to dismiss as ordinary, under the surface, it has proven to be one of the hidden gems in modern U.S. coinage. The P mint mark on this dime indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 2015, millions of these coins were produced and entered everyday circulation. But like many stories in the world of numismatics, not all coins from the same year and mint are created equal. Certain examples of the 2015 P dime stand out due to specific factors: flawless condition, unique errors, or simply their scarcity in high grades. One of the reasons collectors have been drawn to this dime is the unexpected value some of these coins have reached in the collector's market. What starts as just 10 cents can become a coin worth hundreds or even thousands, depending on the right combination of rarity and demand. It's this unpredictable nature of coin collecting that makes the hunt so exciting. Any pocketful of change might contain something truly special. Collectors have identified a range of mint errors in some 2015 P dimes. These include misaligned dies, weak strikes, die chips, and doubling of the design elements. In some rare cases, even off-center strikes have been reported. These errors are usually caused by slight mechanical issues during the minting process. While most people wouldn't even notice such details, collectors consider them rare variations, each one with its own story and appeal. The value of these coins is also heavily influenced by condition. Coins that have been well preserved, showing no signs of wear, scratching, or fading, are considered to be in mint state. The higher the grade, the higher the demand among collectors. Some 2015 P Roosevelt dimes have been graded MS67 and higher, which is extremely rare for coins that were intended for regular circulation. These high-grade examples are often pulled from uncirculated rolls and can command impressive prices. What also adds to the value of this dime is timing. As time passes and more coins become worn down, finding a 2015 P dime in exceptional condition becomes more difficult. Many people overlook modern coins when searching for collectibles, but sometimes, it's the more recent issues, especially with a twist like a mint error or near-perfect preservation, that surprise even seasoned collectors. The Roosevelt dime itself holds a special place in U.S. history. Introduced in 1946, the design was a tribute to Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy and his efforts in founding the March of Dimes. Over the years, while the design has remained largely the same, certain years and mint marks have become far more collectible than others. The 2015 P version is now among those that collectors look for, particularly because of the growing number of discoveries tied to this year and mint. What makes this even more fascinating is that most people have no idea. This dime still travels from hand to hand, dropped in vending machines, left in tip jars, or forgotten in drawers. But among those millions, a few hold much more value than anyone would guess. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes, great value hides in plain sight. So, the next time you're going through your spare change or opening a roll of coins, take a closer look. That small, silver dime with a 2015 date and a tiny P might not seem like much, but it could be one of those rare and valuable finds that collectors are actively searching for. It's all about knowing what to look for, spotting the details, and appreciating the story each coin tells. As we wrap up today's video, we hope you're feeling inspired to pay closer attention to the everyday coins in your hands. The 2015 Roosevelt P dime is proof that even modern change can contain treasures. In the world of coin collecting, it's not always about age, it's about rarity, condition, and those small details that make a big difference. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow collectors and friends. Your support helps us continue to bring you more exciting coin stories, hidden values, and collecting tips from the fascinating world of numismatics. And don't forget to drop a comment below. Have you come across any rare coins lately? Or maybe you've got a 2015 P dime in your collection right now. We'd love to hear your thoughts and discoveries. Happy hunting, and we'll see you in the next video.